Hi, I'm Kelly Bassetti Primo, and welcome to my podcast, Learning Curves, where I bring the small business community direct to you. In my podcast, Learning Curves, we learn about all the unique services that businesses have to offer, and we also learn about the different challenges that businesses go through. In times, businesses go through several different ups and downs, and we talk about the learning curves that we all go through and how we address those. I hope you enjoy my podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce you to my next guest, Miss Leah Turner. Leah is a trained, certified life health coach for women in their 50s. She works with women who are ready to transform their lives in a big, powerful way. She can help you create an action plan and stick to it. You all know how hard it is for us to stick to our plans. Well, by working with Leah, she can help you with all this. Leah focuses on health, emotion, physical, environment, and relationships. So start living your best life. Start loving yourself. We're going to learn from Leah right now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Learning Curves. I am really excited. We were looking through all of our past podcasts over the last year that we've been doing this, and wanted to pull back in a couple people that got a ton of likes and listens, and one of our most popular podcasts was with my good friend Leah Turner.
Yay! That's so exciting.
Yes. So I bought Leah back in today because it's February and it's love. It's the month of love.
Love is in the air.
That's right. And to get us in the mood for love in a couple weeks before Valentine's Day, I thought this would be a perfect topic for us to talk a little bit about self-love, because self-love is so important. Even if we have a love in our life, our relationship can go so much better if we love ourselves first.
Right. We have to take care of ourselves first. There's a reason they say on the airlines, if you have turbulence and the mask comes down, make sure you give air to yourself before giving it to someone else. So we've got to be our best to be able to give our best to others.
We absolutely do. And so many of us we go through ups and downs. And I mean, I know personally, like this last 6 months, which is a little crazy. As you know, I got married.
I know. Woohoo. Congratulations.
It was great being over there and everything. But when I came back, I went from here to here. And it's, I'm now starting to come back out of all that.
Right. You had the storybook life for a couple of months there. And I bet this is like boring to come back to real life. You're not in Italy and Capri. So
yeah. You tend to get a little depressed when you get back.
Yes, I'm sure. But it made you realize you got to focus on you and keep that energy and keep that level up, right?
You do, right.
Very good.
So we want to talk about some of your ideas and some tips that you can help women think more about themselves and how can we love ourselves more and keep ourselves in tune.
Exactly. And we're going to talk about self-care, which a lot of people either think self-care means selfish, which is not true. Self-care is taking care of yourself. And self-care is a lot more, Kelly, than bubble baths and bonbons and face masks. So we're going to talk about some things that we can do to really, build up our self-care and love ourselves. Valentine's, February is the love month, as we know. And I've always thought, why just one day to celebrate love? Shouldn't we be doing that every day?
We should be doing that every day.
Right. And even more importantly, why depend on someone else to provide us with the love and the joy and the happiness on February 14th? We are capable of providing ourselves with love and joy and happiness. And, it's kind of like I always say at Christmas, I buy my own gift because I know I'm going to like it. I know it's going to be the right size.
That's right.
Right. And how many times have you, whether it's Valentine's Day or New Year's Eve, you get so stoked, I got to go out, I've got to go to this restaurant, I've got to do that. And then it's almost a little bit of a letdown, right?
That's right.
So we're going to say, forget all of that, and we're going to focus on a new tradition, which is loving ourselves, not just on February 14th, but every day of the year, and especially during the love month of February. And Kelly's so nice, she's got all her little Valentine goodies out here.
That's right.
But, talking about some ways that we can love ourselves and better ourselves and just be better all the way way around with love, joy, and happiness, right?
Right.
So, so I came up with, what is it, the David Letterman top 10 tips?
Yes, let's hear them.
All righty.
Start with number one.
Let's start with number one. And this is a coaching phrase that I've used for years and years and years. And the older I get, the more impactful it is. And it's basically, no is a complete sentence. And what that means, let me ask you, Kelly, have you ever said yes to doing something that you really didn't want to do?
I was the yes girl all the time.
Right?
All the time. And I would say recently, probably within the last couple of years, I've started saying no to things.
Mm-hmm. It's hard if you're a yes girl, and I'm a yes girl too. And what we end up doing is saying yes and overcommitting our time and our energy, and in some cases, not really wanting to say yes and not really wanting to do that. So I think for women especially, we are the nurturers, we are the take care of, we are the doers, so it's in our nature to say yes. So this is hard for some people, but if we can just get in the practice of saying no to the things that we don't want to do. And not just, I know a lot of people go, no, I can't do that, but maybe I could if I switch this around, okay, yes, I'll do it, right? We talk ourselves into it. So being comfortable saying, no, I'm not able to do that. And you don't have to offer an explanation. Just say no and be comfortable with it. And people respect that. I recently had to do this. A friend had asked me to do something, and I didn't really want to do it. And then I said yes, of course. And as we got closer to the event, I'm thinking in my head, I don't really want to do this. So that I'm like, oh my God, now I'm going to have to make up a little white lie. And it was so much pressure.
Yeah, and you're giving yourself anxiety because
Totally.
I'm like, now I got to make a call, and what kind of excuse can I use to back out of this?
Exactly. And so when I called and said no, the other person, and I was so nervous they were going to be upset, and they were like, okay, cool, well, maybe next time. They don't care,
Right.
So do yourself a favor, and if you don't want to do, I mean, my goodness, we already have to do things we don't like a lot. Mm-hmm. So if you don't want to do it, just say no, and don't feel like you owe the world an explanation. You're allowed to just say no to the things you don't want to do, because that will give you more time to say yes to the things you really want to do. So, Kelly, you and I are going to have to take this one to heart. No is a complete sentence.
That's right.
Right?
No.
So that is a form of self-care, not overcommitting to baking the cookies for the PTA, picking up your friends' kids from school, going to all of these things. Just say no.
And that rings true in business as well, to
Yes.
say no.
Yes.
Because I actually, when you said the yes girl, I was always the yes girl going out. Can you do this? Can you do that? Oh, yes, I can do that. I can do that. Yeah. And now I realize that, hey, it's okay just to focus on a couple really good things that you love to do. You don't have to be that everything for all
Right.
your clients. Mm-hmm. You can do those couple great things that you really want to focus on, and then find other great people that like to do that other stuff,
Yes.
and refer them out to, and have them do the other things,
Yes.
and then be more collaborative.
Yes.
Don't
And-
try to own everything, because that will create misery.
Yes, and you hit the nail on the head. Give it to somebody who likes doing it. Don't say, yes, I'll do all these things, and especially if you don't like it. If there's somebody to outsource it to, have at it. I am totally with you, and that's going to give you, a feeling of power. When I said no, and realized I wasn't going to die, nobody's going to die if you say no, all of a sudden I was like, yeah, I can say no. If I don't want to do that, I'm not doing that stuff. So it's very empowering.
Life's too short.
It really is. It certainly is. So that's our number one top tip for
Great tip.
loving yourself. Thank you.
Right. Get rid of that anxiety.
Yes, yes. And number two is a quote that I've heard recently through my coaches through health coaching, and it's small hinges swing big doors. And I love that because it's the power of doing little things, realizing if you look at your door, big old door, there's just one little hinge you swing back and it moves a big door. Mm-hmm. So that really makes us take a step back and take a breath and go, Rome wasn't conquered in a day. Small steps, the consistency, continuing to do it, if it's exercise, if it's diet, or if it's learning to say no, starting to do these small steps at the end make big efforts, right?
Yeah, I think we always want the big result quickly.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But consistency, wins the race. What is it? Steady wins the race, and don't have to be the fastest one out there. But realizing these small steps will make big differences. So, let's say you're on a diet. You don't have to run a marathon tomorrow and, eat one carrot stick and there you go, right?
Right.
That's what we tend to do. We jump in instead of going, let's make this doable. And when we're setting resolutions or trying to do new things, I think we bite off more than we can chew oftentimes. And if we break it down into little steps and realizing that consistency is really what's going to swing those doors open for you.
Oh, makes sense. And it also probably helps you create better habits by being consistent.
That's exactly right. You're exactly right. If you go work out at the gym for 3 hours tomorrow, the next day, number one, you're going to be sore. And then you're not really going to want to go back. You've overdone it. So if you do, hey, I'm going to do 30 minutes, 3 days a week, small hinges, move big doors at the end of 6 months, you're going to see results. So, and that takes the pressure off. I'm making the effort, I'm moving forward. So I think that's a good one for self-care because we often feel like we have to do everything at once and do it at this mammoth level versus, let's just start the new habits like you said. That's perfect.
I think that's a great tip because I'm very guilty of wanting to hurry up and get that big reward, and then I suffer a lot of pain afterwards.
Exactly. Instant gratification. We are in a
Walk
world
around
of
limping
that.
around.
Yes, but your arm hurts, everything hurts. So don't do that anymore, Kel. You're just going to do small little steps that'll get you to the ending, the finish line as well. So that's our second big tip for self-care. Third tip is to love the little things. And, that's something stop and smell the roses is probably what we've heard before. But, really appreciating the little things, because at the end of the day, some of the things that you remember or your best memories are really those small things. Don't you agree? Like when you think about it, it's like, oh, I remember that small gesture that somebody made, or, your kid picks a flower for you from the garden or whatever. It's not this huge life-shattering, earth-changing event, but it's those little things. And at the end of the day, when you start looking back, you realize it's those little things that make the biggest difference. And we get so caught up in our day-to-day and rush around that I think sometimes we forget those little things.
You're right. The little things are memorable. Rushing around, especially women that are really, really busy. I love that, to try to slow down.
Yeah.
And take in those moments.
And don't miss it, right?
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like we can miss things because we're moving too fast.
Yeah, and we have our blinders on where we're just going from point A to point B, and then we miss the little things, like coming in here today, and you were getting all our wonderful Valentine's treats, and I met Rocky, the puppy dog. Yeah. Oh my gosh, and I just that was a small thing. I got to play with little Rocky, right. What is he, a golden, is he a golden or a white?
He's a lab.
A white lab. Oh, his beautiful coloring. But that's a little thing. His eyes are beautiful. But that makes you happy. And I think women, if we do slow down and look at the little things, those are little pieces of joy.
Meanwhile, I'm rushing around, tripping up the stairs, coming in with sweat coming down.
Yeah, Kelly's coming in like a tornado, and Leah's out there playing with Rocky, playing fetch with the beautiful dog. So who do you think had more fun, right? But
you definitely won that one.
Yes, it's true, and we miss those little things sometimes. We get so caught up. So that's another way to.
Great tip.
It's true though, right? Just to look at the
Slowly
little things. Exactly. So I like that one, and it forces you to slow down. It really does. Or coming over here today, I came from Dade City, and it's a road trip, right?
Yeah, it is a road trip.
But coming over the causeway, which I haven't been over the causeway in quite a while, and it's so beautiful because you're surrounded by water on both sides, and there's some little white caps out there and a couple of boats, and I'm like, this is really nice. So it's like a little mini zap of joy, like a Red Bull, but it's a joy zap, right? So
it is. I see. I had that experience the other day coming back from Sarasota. My GPS took me, instead of going 75, like down 301 and kind of up and around and back to 75. But it's more that like a rural area with lots of water and things like that. I was going back at sunset.
Nice.
And I was just driving. I was frustrated at first because it was taking forever. Then all of a sudden I looked out and I was like, I never come this way.
Right.
And it's so pretty. And oh my God, look at the sunset over there. And I came back out, I popped out, and there's a beautiful Skyway Bridge.
Yes.
All lit up at night. I'm like, I'm freaking lucky.
Exactly.
I go, look at me. I go, I live in paradise.
Yes.
This was a really, honestly, beautiful drive.
Yep. Exactly.
And look at that bridge. Wow. Who has a bridge like that in their town?
And the way they have it all lit up is gorgeous.
I was just feeling all of a sudden like, instead of bitching about where I live because of the traffic, which I was earlier, all of a sudden I was like,
you de-stressed, I bet. And all of a sudden you weren't so focused on, oh my God, I got to hurry up and get home and make dinner. It's all like, oh, I'm here at the right moment, at the right time, and I see this and I can appreciate it, right? I think the appreciation, when we notice those little things and appreciate that they really are a big part of our world.
Yeah, they are.
That's a very good example, Kelly. That's very good.
Thanks. It was beautiful.
Yes. So what's next on our list?
Set your boundaries.
Okay, set your boundaries. You know what boundaries are, right? It's kind of like what you will put up with and what you won't put up with. And I think oftentimes we as women, once again, are used to saying yes to everything. And our boundaries may not be set as high as they need to be. Boundaries are really determining what I will and will not put up with, whether it's behaviors or conversations, or you were sharing a little bit before we went live or on air about an employee that maybe was talking to you in a way that was not really appropriate. And it sounds like Kelly had her boundaries in place because that didn't happen anymore.
Right.
So, but it's just kind of knowing what I will put up with and what I will not put up with. And when we have set our boundaries and they're very clear with other people, you've heard the quote, we teach people how to treat us.
Yes.
So when we put our boundaries in place and we know what we will and won't do and what we will and won't put up with, life becomes a lot easier. And standing up for ourselves becomes a lot easier because we know that, hey, that's you're crossing the line here a little bit, or that's not really within my boundaries. And it just makes you a stronger person because you know what you will take and what you won't take. And then people learn how to treat you and respect those boundaries that you have. That's
a really great tip because I think a lot of us internalize things like this bothered me. I'm like so guilty of a lot of this.
We all are.
That's another. But you internalize things and you don't come out and say something.
Yes.
And I'm probably more guilty of this than probably some of those other things. Like that really bothered me, and I'll like turn inside, and then it keeps growing. The person might keep doing those things with you, and then I'm the type of person that I just implode.
Yes, after so much of those little they add up, and then you blow up. Versus now with our self-care practice, if somebody does something that's not within our boundaries, we have every right to say, hey, you know what? You can't talk to me like that, or you can't treat me like that. That doesn't feel good. Ouch. Stop the madness.
Yeah.
I don't put up with that. And it is hard. You bring up a good point. When we put up with it for a while and then we start this internal volcano is going on, wouldn't it be much easier at the very beginning to let our boundaries be known? Hey, this doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
This type of behavior, and then it's gone. Then we don't have to be eaten up with it.
Right, and I think letting the other person know too is great because sometimes they might not know, or when you do blow up, you're blowing up too much.
Yes,
then you could lose that person because of it. And if you would have just bought it out in the beginning.
Yes.
The problem could have been taken care of.
That's a very good point. But we get so nervous.
It causes much more problems by doing that.
And most people, I mean, if you were doing something, or if I was doing something that was not jiving with you, and you said, hey, you know what, Leah, I really don't like it when you blah, 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 blah. I might go, oh, okay, but I'm not going to do it again, and I'm certainly not going to be upset with you. I'm going to appreciate that you were honest enough with me. It's almost like when you can share your boundaries with others, you're honest enough, you care about that person enough to make it, I want this to work. So this is what bothers me, and the other person's going to say, okay, and then you've just alleviated so much stress. as you said. So
absolutely, it gives you time to talk through it with that
Right.
person too.
Yes, and we're not doormats. You know, we don't have to put up with it. We do have a voice, and we can say, that doesn't work for me. That behavior, that tone, that conversation, whatever that is, no longer works for me. And then we've made our boundaries clear. And what they choose to do with it, that's not our business, right?
Right.
But we've said what we will accept and what we won't. That's a biggie. Boundaries is a biggie.
That is.
Yeah, and that leads me into the next one, because I really like this one, and it's called the 30-minute per day rule. And so, Kelly, like a typical morning, when you wake up in the morning, alarm clock goes off, tell me kind of like the first hour of your day, what's involved.
Oh. So it depends on the day. Sometimes I get up and I go to the gym, and this is a good day, and I'll come home and I get in the shower and go to work. But there's other days when I get up and I cancel my gym and I go right into I have an office at my house also. I go right into there and I turn on the computer, and I end up not coming out of my office probably until 3:00 in the afternoon.
Wow.
Still in my jammies, still with my hair a mess.
Yes, and you've just been working
And
straight.
just been working straight from 6 a.m. until then. And that could be a typical day also.
Okay.
I kind of flip back and forth. Sometimes I'm really good and I get to the gym, I take my shower, I come home, change, come into my work here. Other times I find myself getting caught by going into that computer, which I should not do.
No, you're right, because it sucks you
And
right in.
when I sit there, then that's when I get caught.
Okay. Well, I'm going to challenge you
Okay.
to the 30-minute per day rule. And that is taking 30 minutes of your day, whether it's first thing in the morning before you jump into the office or even before you go to the gym, or 30 minutes at the end of your day, and take that time. That's not a lot when you think about it. 30 minutes
No,
can go
it's
by
not.
like this. And make that your time, and make that, whether it's just enjoying an extra cup of coffee, maybe it's reading meditations or writing in a journal, maybe it's just being mindless and sitting there for 30 minutes. Maybe it's jotting down what I need to do next week, but just taking 30 minutes before you get into your routine, your world. I typically do it in the morning, and it gives me peace, because even if I have a busy day, let's say I'm up at 6:30, I'll go, you know what? My brain is not even going to go to the busy day until 7:15. So I give myself permission for 30 minutes.
I like that.
Yes, and I'm not going to worry about that. I have a lot of conversations in my head. I know I've got that due, and I know I've got to get it done, but I'm not going to worry about it for 30 minutes. And this is going to be my time, and just to think, and just to be, and to read, and to journal, and not even get into the real world yet. I'm very protective of that time now. If I have to be somewhere in the morning at 9, I'll make sure I get up even 30 minutes before that, because that's non-negotiable. I do not give up my 30 minutes at all.
That's really good advice.
Do you think you can try that?
I can try that.
It's really freeing, because
Yeah.
you just don't have any pressure, and you can think about what you want and do what you want. And sometimes I'll write out a menu for next week's grocery list, whatever it is, but it's just, I don't get anxious. I'm like, this is my time. This is my calm time.
I usually tell myself my gym's my calm time, but that's probably really not, is it?
Well,
'cause you're getting up, throwing
yes.
your clothes on, and running out the door.
Yes, and working on a goal, and doing, getting your cardio up. So I would say gym is good though, because we're going to get to something there. But before you jump to the gym, do your 30 minutes of it could be breathing techniques, just deep in, hold, and release, just to set your mood for the day, and just, I'm going to get it all done, but I'm going to take these 30 minutes for me.
I like it.
Yeah,
Start working on my meditation again.
Yeah, right. And it's not an easy thing to meditate. I mean, and you don't want to go, oh God, hurry up and meditate, because I got to get to the gym. That kind of defeats the purpose. So it's your 30 minutes. It's non-negotiable, and that's your time to do you. That's a big self-care, because and your children are grown, and I don't have children, but think about the working mom that has young children, and trying to get the kids out the door and make lunches and get the husband out the door and get to work and walk the dog, and 30 minutes to them is like, are you kidding me? I have 30 minutes for me. You know, it's pretty powerful.
I was that mom.
Yes, right.
My kids.
I'm sure you were. I'm sure.
Holding their hands, running them, always late all the time.
Yeah, making lunches and
making all that stuff. And you're running them into school, and then the moms that stay at home would be just sitting there going,
yeah, who's
there she
this?
is again, late with her kids.
Eye roll. Yeah. But meanwhile, you were juggling a lot of things, and that's why just to have that moment to breathe, and I'm not going to worry about the kids, and I'm just going to focus on me and this cup of coffee or tea and be. And I like that one, and I personally started doing that one, and it makes a big difference in my day. Because, if we have a busy day, immediately you wake up and your brain just starts going, I got to go here, I got to do that.
It does.
Yes. So I just tell myself, brain, you can get there in 30 minutes, but for the next 30 minutes, we are pushing that aside. So that's a good one.
I'm definitely going to start doing that one.
Yay. What do we have next on our list? Number 6. What's that?
Protect your energy, time, and space.
Yes. Ooh, that's a good one. Protecting your energy, your time, and your space. There are not a whole lot of things we can control in this world, but we can control our energy, where we put our energy, where we, choose to get anxious or depressed or whatever, and our space, who we allow in our space. I actually was having this conversation with my next door neighbors last night, and they were like, energy and time are the things that we have control over, and protecting that and not getting pulled into 1,000 different directions. And we are both very type A personalities, and a lot of our friends are type A person, which we love. We just saw them last week, and that was awesome.
Did.
But they're always busy, and I've got this, and you just kind of wonder, when do you calm down? When do you kind of protect that energy and that time, and not give it to everybody, and realize that, hey, this is my time, and whether it's an hour or 2 hours or whatever it is, you want to protect that and not be stretched so thin that you don't have any energy left because you've given it to everybody else, and you have no time left, and it's 10 o'clock at night and you're just getting home and you're exhausted. So, protecting that energy and time and space, and taking a look at who you allow. It's a privilege to be allowed into somebody's space, wouldn't you say? Because that's what we've got here. So it's a privilege for me to spend time with you today. That's where I want to spend my energy and time and space, not necessarily running around doing things we don't want to do.
Exactly.
Right?
And it makes a big difference to try to do those things for you. Like this past weekend, I told you I went to that podcast.
Yes.
I was really proud of myself because I'm always, okay, we have to do going over here. I mean, obviously I sell podcasting, but it's also my new passion of mine. And sometimes it's hard to, I want to learn more about this, to find time to do that.
Yes.
And always learning about all these other things that will be, good for this or good for this client or that client or whatever. And then also with Gasparilla and things like that. Well, everyone's like, let's go to Gasparilla, let's do this and that. Right. I said no to Gasparilla.
Look at you.
I'm not going to go to Gasparilla this year. I don't want to cancel on this thing because I always cancel on stuff I want to do all the time. But I'm not canceling on this. This is for me.
Love it.
A learning opportunity for me to go. Not me teaching somebody else, but me to go for a whole weekend and learn something new.
Okay, just in that story alone, I think you did, 5 of the things we've already talked about. You said no, you protected your time, you knew what was important. It could have been very easy for you to get pulled off of that.
I almost canceled that like 5 times. Well, maybe I don't need to go, or maybe, in Orlando, I can skip it, whatever. But I told myself I wasn't, and then I convinced myself.
And it was for you, and it was for you to, something you just said, you're very passionate about this. So that is a big act of self-care, because you said, I'm doing this. You set your boundaries. Sorry, Gasparilla, not going there. Said your no, went to do something that was your passion, which I love that word. And I love people who do things that really fire their passion. And you protected your time and your energy, and you protected your space, and you did something that you wanted to do. That's fantastic.
And I came back from it feeling very full, and like, oh, I learned all these new things. And the next day I wrote everything down and
Proud,
well,
right?
proud. It's the first time I've gotten excited about something in a while, I guess.
Well, and proud that you did it and you made it a priority, and empowered because now you came back with more energy and more great ideas that you can utilize in something that you're feeding your passion. And a lot of people don't do that. Like you just said, there were multiple times you could have probably just blown it off. Yeah, I'll go to Gasparilla. Yeah, I'll do this. But you said, no, this is what I want to do. And that is exactly what I'm talking about. It's putting you first, your passion first, doing something for your time, space, and energy. So you go, girlfriend.
Thank you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What do we have
Know
next?
your numbers.
Know your numbers. Good Lord. This is an important one. And I work primarily with women over 50, and Kelly and I were having a conversation before Podcast Land, and we were talking about the importance of knowing your numbers. And that really means this is about health. This is about, you know that, right? Right. This is about protecting your health. So, whether it's your weight, your cholesterol, your blood pressure, whatever it is, know your numbers. Don't put it off. Kelly and I were just sharing some health things that go on.
All the different things that have happened to us recently.
When you turn 50, it's like, what do they say, that check engine comes on, for goodness. So I was sharing with Kelly that last year I had a couple of health issues, one being the dreaded shingles. Oh my goodness. And if you've never had that, get your vaccination because it's horrible. And then after I recovered from the dreaded shingles, I was tired. I was really, really tired, and I didn't know why. So I went to the doctor for my normal checkup, and she's like, we're going to run some additional numbers. We're going to do some additional blood work. And come to find out, my thyroid was totally out of whack. And I came home that day, I'm like, I am getting old, And
meanwhile, I was telling Leah about the big goiter that was growing out of my neck at 50.
Good Lord. You can't... Aging is not for the weak at heart. Right, because the goiter is part of the whole dreaded Hashimoto's and the thyroid. Right. So we could do a whole podcast on that.
We could do a whole podcast on that. We talked about the weight gain and everything else that comes along with it.
It's important to know those numbers. And I know a lot of people, after menopause, middle age spread, the last thing you want to do is get on the scale. I get it. But get on there because you can't do anything until you know what you're dealing with. So if you haven't had your blood work done in a year, go do it. Do it, and that is the perfect snapshot.
It really is.
It's super, and I have a doctor that literally will sit down with me line by line. Well, this is what this means. This is what, and it's so empowering to know, and then come back 6 months later. Well, wow, your numbers are really good in this area. So.
At CEA Marketing, we take your business, your passion, and your why, and we sell it. If you're unsure where to start marketing your company, CEA Marketing is here to help. Our team at CEA has tons of experience and top-notch training, which helps you take all the stress and confusion out of marketing your own business. After years of working with large companies like Pulte Homes and Metro Places, we guarantee the successful implementation of a marketing strategy.
You've got to take care of you, and it is true, the check engine light does come on, so let's just know our numbers in advance and know what we're dealing with. And
I like that.
Don't you think it makes it easier? I mean, Kelly and I were talking about diets and anti-inflammation diets and all that, and you have to know what you're focusing on, because there's a lot of information.
Yeah, think about what you're putting in your body, because it tells you all those things, like these foods are not good for you to eat right now. And I found out I was completely no vitamin D or B, then I started getting shots of it every single day, and then my energy level came back, but I would have just, who knew?
Who knew? Well, and you bring up a good point too. It's, you have to listen to your body. And if you're not having the energy, and for me with the Hashimoto's, I was exhausted. I could get up and 15 minutes later be ready for a nap. And I'm like, this is not right. So listen to your body, go get the blood work done, find out what you're dealing with. It's so much easier. And you don't want those types of surprises. You want to be in control of your health, and you can't do that unless you know your numbers.
I just got my blood work done this morning.
See, good for you. And so, ladies out there that are listening, and gentlemen as well, your February self-love, set an appointment and get that blood work done and find out what's going on.
Good tip.
Yes. Okay, where are we? We're already at number 8. My goodness.
I know. Practice empathy and gratitude.
Right. And we hear a lot about gratitude, and I'm a big gratitude person. I used to keep the gratitude journal like Oprah said, and what am I grateful for today? But I threw the word empathy in there because I feel like that's something that we often lose sight of. And empathy, especially in today's world, it's ugly out there. It is
ugly out there.
It's not fun, and people are mean, and
they are mean.
They are mean, and I hate it. You see people who say things on social media.
Social media is so brutal.
Right? It's killer.
If I didn't have to be on it for business, I don't think I would.
It? It's just so mean. It's really mean. So that's why I include empathy in there. It's a lot easy to get behind a computer screen and slam somebody and be cruel, but before you do that, put yourself in their shoes. I mean, even on things like, Nextdoor, the application where people are supposed to say, hey, we're all looking out for each other. We're neighbors. We're next door. And somebody posted something, I heard a gunshot. Okay, that's pretty serious stuff, right?
Yeah, that is.
But then everyone's like, you sure? Or they were just attacking this woman for basically sharing information. And I'm like, goodness, couldn't we all just benefit by putting ourselves in somebody else's shoes and showing that empathy and not being so mean? Share the love, not just in February, but all the time.
All the time.
Right?
Not easy to do when you're hiding behind a computer screen.
It's unbelievable. It's the meanness. It's not good. So if we could everybody share be a little more empathetic to people, and especially people whose ideas or beliefs may not be exactly like ours. That's what makes the world go round. So, instead of being mean, why not just be empathetic and try to learn and just, I don't know.
It's amazing what you would learn by actually listening to somebody's ideas.
Yes. And even if they don't or aren't the same as yours, I think that's the big thing. It's just be a little more empathetic with people and put yourself in their shoes before you get mean. We don't like mean.
No, I don't like mean at all.
No. Number 9 is, I love this one. This is make confidence a habit. Confidence is a habit. I used to think, oh, that girl's so confident. Gosh, I'd give anything to be as confident as she is. But really, you're in control of your confidence. You can make confidence a habit. And it doesn't happen overnight, but it's just one of those things. I think there was a quote out there the other day, and it was like, I used to walk into a room and wonder if everybody was going to like me. Now I walk into a room and I go, I wonder if I'm going to like everybody in here. That's confidence.
That is confidence.
It's the shift. And it's like we only got one of us, and we're stuck with us from the beginning to the end. You might as well like yourself, and you might as well be confident. What do you
just
think?
know that I agree with you. Totally. Not everyone's going to like you.
Exactly. And we're people pleasers because obviously, we have a hard time saying no. So we need to just not worry so much about that. Walk in there and be confident. I'll never forget, I was speaking at IBS a couple years ago, and, that's a scary thing. You're really nervous. I
remember when you spoke there for the first time.
God, I was like so nervous. And the lady who I was getting ready, she was speaking before me, and she's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm literally going to vomit because I'm so nervous. And she's like, why? I said, because all these people out here and and she's like, well, you know what? You're Leah Turner. You just walk out there and you do your thing. And hey, if they don't like you, tough. She was cursed like a sailor, but tough patooties for them. And she's like, don't you ever forget, you're Leah Turner. And I was like, okay, and that's when I started thinking, what, confidence really is a habit. Tell yourself that every day. I look good. I am powerful. I know what I'm doing. And all of a sudden, you start to believe that. And then, that's the people who are confident out there, they've worked at it. You're not just born confident. It takes a little time, but boy, there's a big difference in walking to a room feeling confident versus not.
Yep. People can tell when you're not too.
Yes, and you've always struck me. I mean, I've known Kelly for a long time. Seriously, as a very confident person. And I can remember first meeting you at certain SEBCs and things like that. And I always like, she is so confident. Serious? No, you carry yourself that way. And
Thank you.
There's an aura, and you know, whether you were really confident or not, you were shooting out that aura, girlfriend. And I was like, yeah, she's just so confident when she talks and presents. We can all do that. It's a habit. So, you know, be confident. You're all you got, you know. You may as well be confident about yourself.
Oh, well, thank you for that compliment.
It's true. I remember because Andrea was with me, and she's like, "Have you never met Kelly Bassetti?" And you know the name Kelly Bassetti. I'm like, "Well, I've heard of her, but I've never met her before." Well, come on, I'll introduce you to Kelly. And who would have known that? Well, we're going back 15 years at least. But Kelly has always kind of carried that confidence, and with her speaking and all of that. So you got that one. We're not going to have to jump you on that one. You got the confidence thing going on. So every one of you out there should do that. Make it a habit.
That's right.
And then our last one of the tip is to find joy and to have fun. You know, don't get so bogged down in busyness and checklist and to-do list that you forget that we only go around this, you know, one time. So we need to have fun and we need to find joy. You know, what is it that makes you happy? Identify what that is and do more of it. Right.
Right.
What's your finding joy, Kelly? How do you find joy?
I find joy. I like being with my friends. That's fun. I found that, you know, just recent when I told you about the high from the wedding and all that. And then afterward, when I broke my foot, I came home and I basically kind of was in a cave for like almost 6 months. I didn't really do much at all, which is not like me.
Yeah.
And then recently, this past year, I started, you know, reconnecting with everybody, and I know that that's my happy place.
Right. Other people, your friends, your family, they bring you joy.
They do.
Good point.
Yes.
Having, you know, I forgot about the broken foot thing. That happened on the honeymoon, right? Oh, my goodness. But sometimes it takes a situation like that, and you just kind of go, oh, I missed this, and I need to reconnect. My friends give me energy. My family gives me energy, and finding the time to do that. So it's important, you know? It is important.
Find the time to be with you. And I just know how I feel, even like seeing you all the other night. That was so awesome.
It was.
Then another group of my friends, we went to the Tina Turner, and that was so much fun. And just, I know how it makes me feel when I'm with my friends, and it's fun. And when I'm not, and home too much, you know, not that being home is good. I'm getting a lot better at it.
But making the time when you can identify and you know what makes you happy, make the time to do that. Put it into the calendar and do it. So that's very important. I think women, we're always putting a lot of people's needs maybe before our own. And as we're talking today about self-care, that's putting your needs first and identifying what makes you happy. If it's going to a yoga class, if it's working out, whatever that is, identify and make time for it in your day. Self-care is a good thing. It's not selfish. It's taking care of the number one person in your life, which is, believe it or not, you, right? So it was very important that we do that.
I think so.
Yes.
I think those are all 10 great tips to help us with loving ourselves.
Yes, for the month of February, loving ourselves. And you know, and then we're just going to talk real briefly here about just some ideas, some challenges. You know, there are 28 days in the month, so let's challenge everybody to at least pick 5 things that they can do that kind of goes back to some of the things that we've talked about, that are ways of showing self-care and self-love. And I just have some down here, but Kelly, let's just kind of you and I go back and forth on things that we enjoy doing, like you know, for me, this is a silly one, but it's I love to sit in the sun. And, you know, it's been kind of a cold winter for us in Florida.
Yes, it has.
I'm sure they all feel sorry for us in Wisconsin, but to me, sitting in the sun just kind of rejuvenates me. So I'll look, and if I've got, even if it's a 30-minute break between calls or coaching clients or whatever it is, if I can just go, take my chair, maybe have a book and sit in the sun for 30 minutes, it rejuvenates me and it gives me a little glow, and you know, I just feel good when I sit in the sun.
I love sitting in the sun too.
Right?
You're right. It's going outside.
Yes.
My pool's sitting there outside. I don't like
Yes.
going outside too much anymore because it reminds me of my dog. But
I know.
but when I go outside and like sit in my chair and
Yes.
just like sit there and close
have
your
the sun
eyes
on
and
your
have the
face.
sun hit your face with the rays.
And that's
Such a great feeling.
simple little thing. But it you know what? To me, it calms me, and I just feel good. It's kind of like just recharging a little bit. And I would challenge everybody out there to maybe just kind of think of something that you can do maybe outside of the box that is really kind of back with the self-love, something you like to do, whether it's reading a book, a self-help book, or volunteering to help others. That's always a good thing.
Makes you feel good.
It does make you feel good. Or challenge yourself. What's something that you've wanted to do for a while, and maybe this is the month that you do it. I ran a 5K, for the love of God.
Good job.
Yes, last weekend, and it was just it was a challenge. I have not run a 5K in probably 6 years, and it was cold, and I was like, you know what, I'm doing it. And I felt so good when I finished. It's something that I don't do every day, but it really kind of was like, I'm doing it for me. So What's something that you would do for you this month, Kelly, that's sort of out of the box that you haven't done in a while that would bring you joy?
Well, I actually like going out on my boat, and I didn't go out on the boat very much at all last year, and something that I miss a lot because it's just when I'm out there, it's just on the water.
Mm-hmm.
It's
peaceful.
Nice. It's peaceful.
Yes.
So, and it kind of makes all the stress and things like that go away. So I really enjoy doing that. So I told Chris, please don't sell the boat.
No, and get that. Here's the challenge as we discuss these things. Our readers or our listeners, let them write this down and plug it in. So next Saturday or whatever it is, Kelly,
it's
Chris,
nice out. Yes,
on the boat.
Right.
It brings you peace, and
it brings me a lot of peace.
And that's what we're looking for. The things that rejuvenate us, and they can be things too that are maybe a little more practical. One thing that I like to do is clear the clutter. And for me, it's very satisfying if I say, okay, on Saturday, I am going to go through the kitchen and I'm just going to clear the clutter. I mean, we've all got that can of string beans in the pantry that expired in, 1902, and it's still sitting there. Get rid of it. There's something about going through and clearing that clutter. Less is better, and you feel like you accomplished something. So maybe it's a closet, or it's your kitchen, or it's I've got a shed that I've got to go through.
Makes you feel a lot better when you walk in and it's all nice.
Yes, it's a sense of accomplishment. Clearing the clutter is a big deal. Another one that I practice a lot is scheduling my appointments for the year. So I take a day. I used to be January that I would pick the day, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to roll it into February because we're talking self-love here. And I will say I'm going to take, 2 hours and I'm going to schedule my appointments for the year. I mean like my doctor, my dentist, my dermo, the gyno, all those people, right? And when I'm going to take an afternoon and I'm going to get them all scheduled, and then I don't have to think about it again for the rest of the year.
That's a good one.
And it's an easy one. I mean, because think about the time. I got to call the dentist. I can't get in for 6 months.
I know. I always put that off, procrastinate.
Just make it a day. And you knock it off, and then it's in your calendar, and you it's done. And it doesn't loom over us as something we have to do.
I'm going to do that.
Yay.
Make my appointment to do that.
Yes. And
good
just
advice.
Get it knocked out. And speaking of appointments, while you're scheduling those, also make time for fun stuff, a facial or a massage. Maybe that's in your February self-care. A mani-pedi.
I actually did that yesterday.
Did you really? See?
I did. I've had a very stressful couple months where I've been working a lot lately, like almost too much.
Yeah.
But after making a lot of changes with my agency, which is all good, but I had a really good meeting yesterday with the client that we had to go in and kind of let him know some of the changes that we were making in the company. And I was a little nerve-wracking to how he was going to take it, but he was wonderful and was like very happy about the conversation.
Yes.
And, something that you dread he was very happy about it all. And I just walked out of there, and it wasn't only that, but just knowing that these changes were coming.
Yes.
We talked a little bit about the changes without going into a lot of detail with it, but I just walked out of there and I had my new project manager with me, and she's like, "You just look so relieved, Kelly." And I'm like, I do. I feel so much better. Like all the stress just went boom.
Yes.
We went out to lunch. Afterwards, I went to the mall. I got myself a massage, and I went shopping, and I bought myself some golden gooses.
Oh my God, I love that. We got to make sure that gets a picture of
I
the.
know. I'm like, I hadn't
God.
been shopping forever, and I love
Yes.
shopping, and I love
Yes.
massages. I'm like, I have not done any of this for I don't even know how long. Nothing.
Kelly, I love that. You are the walking billboard for self-care. And I love two things about that. First of all, I love the self-care. I love the shoes. They're so cute.
Thank you.
I love the massage. I love that you did that. But even like going back to having that conversation with your client and announcing new changes. And I can imagine the fear and the anxiety and what are they going to think? And for them to go, "Hey, Kel, that's great. You should have done it years ago." It's almost, it kind of like goes back to what we were saying with some of our other things,
Yeah, he was smiling ear to ear, like almost relieved, like, "Thank you for finally doing this."
Yes. And isn't it weird, the story we create in our head, the fear, and then you do it and you go, "Oh my God, that was the easiest thing in the world."
Right.
And you're so relieved. We create a lot of our own self-fear of things.
We
right?
do.
But you set your boundaries. Here's what I'm doing with my agency, and here it is. And it was warmly received, and then you went out and practiced even more self-care.
I did.
Kelly does not have a problem with self-care. Let's just but it's true. It's like a little reward.
I know. I go, I deserve this right now because I've been
Yes.
going through a lot of anxiety.
And I like that you said that. And I wish every woman out there would turn and look in the mirror and say, "I deserve this." You do deserve it. We deserve to take care of ourselves. We're our most important commodity. So, taking care of, and how did you feel when you came home after all those accomplishments and wins?
I walked out of International Mall with my new shoes on.
Yep.
And I was like, doot, 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 doot to my car.
She was practicing that confidence and making that a habit and finding joy. My goodness, I could check off 10 things that you just did there.
I did.
And you just feel good. You feel empowered, right? I mean, we're in charge of our lives. We get to make those decisions. And somewhere along the line, I think we forget that.
Right.
And when we do it again, we're like, you know what? I'm proud. I did what's best for me, for my company. That's fantastic. I love that. That's really good. And it's another daily challenge is like to step outside of the box and outside of your comfort zone. And that touches on that a little bit. In order to achieve big things, sometimes you have to do things a little bit differently and step out.
I always get that anxiety with my, I'm like, like I'm making a change, coming in and having to tell them.
Yes. Yes. And 9 times out of 10, what happens?
They're always okay with it.
Exactly.
I would say, 9 times out of 10. Not always, but for the most part, yeah.
And here's the thing. Even if they're not okay with it, that's okay too. They'll either get okay with it because you've made a decision about your agency, or if they don't get okay with it, they can go somewhere else.
Right.
I mean, that's not the end of the world.
No, it's not.
And that goes back to that people pleaser, and I think that that's sort of a little bit of a theme that I'm seeing with both of us.
Yes.
We want everybody to be happy, and sometimes that's not the case.
Right.
And we forget about our own happiness.
Yes.
We're sitting here miserable, but everybody else is happy. Whoopee. I think we take our control back and say, what do I need to do for me? How do I make myself happy? If it's setting those boundaries, or it's that 30 minutes a day, whatever that is, making time to do that is so important. And if you guys could see this, Kelly is smiling from ear to ear. I mean, she's thinking about that conversation yesterday. She's Kelly effing Bassetti, by God. She's gonna do that. You are, but see that's that. You felt good when you did it, right? When you do things that are in line with what you really want to do, there is a power with that.
There is.
And knowing what that is. And, that's how, like, when I had to say, no, I didn't want to do this. And in my head, I had played this scenario 1,000. I had made it was a drama in my head. It was a full-on soap opera. But when I just said, no, I don't want to do it, okay, that's fine. It was like, wow. That was so easy, and I created this big traumatic thing of what's going to happen. What fear, right? What is that thing about fear? It's face everything and run, or face everything and rise, right? So when we look at it that way, what's the worst that can happen? right? I think we build up that fear, and we don't
We
need
do.
to. Yes.
The thing is usually what I've found is when you have that fear and you have to go through the fear, right? You follow through with it. Don't walk away from it.
Yes.
Because it's all a learning curve, and it's all these things that happen with that fear.
Yes.
And once you get on the other side of that fear, it's amazing all the things that will happen to you.
It's like doors open up.
Doors open up. Like, oh my God, I'm so afraid. I've had this big client forever, and they're this huge client. When I think I told you that story, what happened? What's going to happen when that goes away?
Yes.
Well, that was causing so much stress. Went through the fear, and on the other side, 10 doors opened up of the best clients in the world.
I love that.
But if you stay in the fear,
you stay in your comfort zone and you don't dare take that step forward, you're missing all those other things. And a lot of times you have to let go of that, what's comfort to you. And the unknown is oftentimes way
always better.
Yes.
Every time it's always happened, it's always been better. You forget those things sometimes, but
you do.
But I always tell myself, just get through it.
Yes.
You know this. You know it's going to be better.
Right. And you know what? We've talked a lot too about self-talk. Don't you, like you've said it, all right, Kelly, get through it. It's going to, and me, God knows, I have conversations running in my head all the time. And we control that self-talk. So if Kelly, we're going to do it. We're going to have this conversation. Hey, it is what it is. I'm going to do it, and it's going to be better. Versus, oh my God, I'm so scared. They're going to be so mad at me. Da, 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 da. Get rid of that self-talk and bring that confidence as a habit.
Yes,
I'm going to have I've run an agency for 20 plus years. I know how to make decisions. I'm a strong, powerful woman, and this is what works best for me. That's setting boundaries. This is what works best for my company, and this is what I'm doing moving forward. Everybody else, you either like it or pound sand, and find somebody else. And we have a hard time realizing, but that's okay if they don't like it. We're not here to live somebody else's life. We're here to live our best life. Right. And what works for us may not work for somebody else. So it's just, this is a really good month to be aware of that and to do things that work for you and that, are all about improving and loving yourself. What Kelly just described, that conversation, that is an act of self-love. It really is. Don't you agree?
I agree.
Yes, and she's still smiling. My goodness.
I beat myself up a little bit beforehand, but I did it, and I made the decision, and I got through it.
Yeah, exactly. and you realize what's the worst that can happen. If anything, it's like pulling off the Band-Aid. It hurts more if you just slowly, do it. Just get it over with. And I love how you said it, 10,000 doors will open up. So don't hang on to what you don't want because there's other stuff on the other side that's
the universe
really
will give it to you, but they're not going to give it to you. The universe will not give you it if you're not ready. You have to be ready to accept.
Yes. And if your plate is too full and there's no room for this other good stuff to come, so it's kind of like going through the buffet on a cruise. You pack your plate with all this, food, then you get to the desserts, there's no room on your plate. So you either have to get another plate and look like a pig or, take some of that stuff off your plate so that new things can come on board. And
Absolutely.
That's a really good example. I like that. So just a couple other things to maybe challenge yourself with this month. It's, try something different. Go to a restaurant, a museum, a play. Kelly highly recommends the Tina Turner event at the Ruth Eckerd Hall. Do something like that you don't normally do. Take a class. Go to paint and sip. I've always wanted to do one of those, where you drink some wine and they have these.
Those are fun.
Yes. Okay. We need to plan one of those.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yes. Right. So do something, something to get excited about. Have a date with yourself,
Yes.
Buy yourself flowers. Isn't that Miley Cyrus's new song? I can buy my own flowers.
That's right.
Take yourself on a date. Go to that restaurant. Go listen to that music. And if you've got somebody to share it with, great. If not, I have no problem going places by myself. I kind of like my own company. I think I'm pretty cool.
I don't mind going. I'm really good at doing that too.
Yeah. Some people are very, very fearful of that. And, take a small step. Say, I'm going to go have a glass of wine. I had a girlfriend that went through a divorce and she's like, I can't go out by myself. I'm like, here's the trick. On your way home, stop at a nice little place, order a glass of wine, and then ask for the menu and say, I'm going to get some food to go. right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you're just waiting for the food. She's like, oh my God. So she's like, I don't feel so like
and
everybody's.
Once you get used to do that, then
Yes.
pretty soon you'll be able to eat dinner by yourself.
Right, right. And enjoy your own company. And that's a big deal, because they're going to be, even if you are with a romantic partner or a husband or whatever, I bet you there's some things that you like to do that maybe Chris doesn't like to do. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So get comfortable with yourself and your own company. And I crack myself up. I'm so funny. I tell myself jokes. I gossip with myself. I'm just like a hoot. So enjoy yourself.
Yes.
That's really, don't limit that you can't do things. You are your own best company.
That's good
advice. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It is. So, just, I think, in kind of wrapping up for February, and just do something for you. Do something that's maybe a little bit out of your wheelhouse or out of your comfort zone. Do something that just appreciates you and says, I love me and I'm worth it. Like Kelly said, I'm worth these shoes. I'm worth this massage. You are worth it, right?
Right.
And it's up to you. That nobody's going to do it for you.
You got to do it yourself.
Isn't that true? You got to do it for you. And
you
just,
do.
Yes. And then if you have a spouse and children and family and friends that you're spending Valentine's Day with, even better. But do these things so you can come in as a stronger, better, happier, more joyful person, and that joy spreads throughout the entire month. And it's not just one day.
That's right.
With overpriced candy and overpriced wine and overpriced food. Make Valentine's Day every day.
Every day.
Yes.
Be.
Enjoy yourself and, have fun and find the joy.
Yay.
Yay. So those are my tips, Kels.
Well, thank you, Leah. What a great episode. Leah, can you tell us a little bit about your coaching program and how someone can get in touch with you for more information?
Absolutely. Thank you. I currently have a 90-day total transformation program that I am offering on a limited basis. And we will spend 90 days working on whatever it is that you want to transform, whether it's health, wealth, emotions, relationships, or just, creating an action plan and achieving that goal. And you can certainly reach out to me. My email is Leah Turner, Time to Take Control, which is TTC, Leah Turner, TTC @gmail.com, or give me a call, 407-709-6816.
I'll make sure to have all those in the show notes as well, so you have that information. And when you have your program ready, please let us know here at Learning Curves, because I'll make sure the audience knows that they can go sign up, because It's going to be an awesome program.
Yay. Thank you so much, Kelly.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Second Soul Studios is a full-service production studio with capabilities for photo, video, podcasting, editing, co-working, and more. Our photo video studio has a number of different backdrop choices and props to choose from. We also have a gourmet kitchen set, or if you're an upstart podcaster, you'll love our 4-person podcast studio. So what are you waiting for? Visit secondsoulstudios.com to book a tour today.